welcome back to the Arsenal Fan Theory podcast. As always, I'm joined with Michael and Dean. Thanks for being here, Mike and Dean. Right,
Always a pleasure.
we'll jump straight into the Southampton review. Um, at least it was a win, guys. I think that was the main thing we could take out of the game Saturday, if I'm correct. It wasn't the most convincing performance, but we got the W. We're back on track. I was actually getting a bit optimistic regarding our Champions League hopes until Man City went and lost against Chelsea, which just dashed that dream again for me. Um, but other than that, there were a few talking points, especially how left-hand dominant the team was on the day, which was quite interesting. I saw a stat that between Saka and Tierney there were 12 passes, and between Bellerin and Pepe there were only two passes, showing how much we relied on the left-hand side for attacking output basically. With that being said, Dean, what are your thoughts on Saturday's game as a whole against Southampton?
Yeah, Brendon, good to be back, firstly. Um, yeah, I know, as you say, it wasn't the most glamorous performance, but I don't know if it ever was going to be. We've just come off the back of two losses. We at least set ourselves up, very solid throughout the game. The clean sheet, yeah, I know we conceded a lot of chances, but, up until the red card, I think they only had 3 or 4 of those on target. So, as you said, on the left-hand side, we were set up very attacking, but I think even defensive-wise, we were set up very defensively on that left-hand side. They were almost too scared to attack us. Even me and you were speaking about it, on the group during the game. So, yeah, at the end of the day, we went there with solid formation and we got the win, take a bit of confidence into the next game. And so as we gain confidence, I think our game will become more elaborate.
Yeah, that's a very key point. I feel that this is always going to be a very edgy game, meaning because the team is very low on confidence. So a win like that would always just give that confidence boost, and the next game we might see them coming out of their shells a bit more. Not saying that there weren't a lot of bright sparks during the game. I think we freed up Aubameyang much more. We didn't play him that much. We didn't give him the ball that much, but he had a lot more space and he was a bigger threat than he was against Brighton. Um, Mike, what was your initial thoughts of the Southampton game? Sorry.
Well, Bren, firstly, I'm just glad to get the 3 points, we also had a chat. To me, it wasn't the most convincing of performances, but at the end of the day, it's only the win that counts. But yeah, there were a few individual performances that really stood out, like Rob Holding and Granit Xhaka in particular for me. I think they played really well. Xhaka really stabilized the team in the midfield. We look like a much, much, much different side with him in. And also, I think Rob Holding played well after his first game back as well. So I hope he can just stay consistent and keep it up. To me, Bellerin, we're talking about the right hand side. That was a weak point for us, but Bellerin didn't look on the pace of the game at all. Hopefully, we can put that down. That the lack of fitness, he was out injured for a long time. He hasn't had a run of games. Hopefully, he'll improve in the future. And yeah, and Kate, yeah, he's a hard worker, and it worked out for him. Yeah, it paid off. He got the goal. But yeah, I think attackingly, we went on our best. Although we did create chances, we're not putting them away as we should. There were again we could have gone 3-4-0 up instead of winning this game 2-0. But apart from that, I did think Arteta set us up in a way that made it much more difficult to break down, to break us down. So I think that's probably what they focused on, just to stabilize our side and our defense a bit, and hopefully it gets better attacking going forward.
Uh, I think both of you had very valid points. And I don't want to spend too much time on the Southampton game because obviously tomorrow already is the Sheffield Wednesday, Sheffield United game in the FA Cup. So I want to ask you guys one more question each regarding the Southampton game. Dean, tactically, it was very interesting to see we were almost playing a back three slash back four at times, depending on if we were attacking, defending, with Tyranny being the third centre back most of the game. He also did overlap every now and again, but most of the time he sat back and he was in that third centre back position. Do you think that's something we can see going forward, especially with the Louise signing? That's something that he's been thriving in. Well, he's thrived in under previous regimes, under previous clubs. He's been a very good third centre back, especially the left-handed centre back.
Yeah, so sadly, okay. Firstly, let's jump on the question. Yeah, I think we can definitely see this the sort of a three at the back in defense, and sometimes that left centre back who is actually
And Mike, I think we.
even in the Southampton game, they're not used to this formation or this sense of interplay, which is it's a very brilliant idea from Arteta. I think you could hear the commentators saying in the game the way Aubameyang and Saka are moving, and not just them, everybody. The way everybody's moving, it pulls defenders in and out of positions, and you know it it ends up messing up their setup, and it will eventually, the more Arteta pulls this through and the more the players get used to what he's trying to do, I definitely think we're going to start seeing results more in the attacking side and as well as the defensive. I do, yeah, but as you were saying with Kieran Tierney, I don't know, maybe this formation more suits a Kolasinac. I don't know what you think, Brendon, because Kolasinac is more of the enforcer, more of the defensive, and I can see him being a lot more solid in that back three in defense than Kieran Tierney. But then what does that mean for Kieran Tierney, But yeah,
Yeah, I think Tyranny is a much more attacking left back. I think he loves overlapping and whipping in that great cross. His left foot is one of the main reasons we were so excited when we signed him. So yeah, I think Kolasinac might be more suited to that type of role. But that being said, I think Tierney also played well, and he could spread the ball from the back. I think there was one ball to Aubameyang in particular that he spread from the back to the front in one pass, and he split up in the defense. So I don't think we should rule him out just yet, but I would like to see him in a more traditional left back if we continue playing Tyranny. You're right. Now, Mike, I want to point this question to you regarding the players. I know you mentioned Holding and Zaka. So I want to hear from your side. Do you think Holding's got a future with Arsenal? I personally believe a lot of people wrote him off too quickly when he was struggling to come back after the injury. And I also want you to touch on the Guendouzi situation. What do you think is going on there? Is it Do we need to read into it, or is it just the surface level where Arteta is disciplining the player?
Yeah, well, Bren, I think Robert definitely has a future with us. I think he's a big talent, and if, like I said before, if he can stay consistent, he can definitely work himself into the starting 11. I actually think for the rest of the season going forward, that Zaka and Holding would probably be two of our most important players. Um, Arteta has gotten Mustafi to play a lot more consistent lately, so he just needs a solid defensive partner, and this is where Holding can step in because we all know you can't trust Luis. He's just too prone to mistakes. And Zaka, he just he evolves our midfield in a sense. Without him there, it's Ceballos who isn't really the biggest defensive midfielder doing a defensive job, and Guendouzi just getting up and down the pitch the whole time. Not really too sure of what he's doing. Well, that's how it looks like to me. And then, what was your other question, Brent? Sorry.
Just regarding Guendouzi and his future at the club, with the latest news coming out that there might be a bit of a spat between him and Arteta, and that Guendouzi is open to leaving. What do you think on that situation?
I think for now we don't need to read into it too much. It was just after the spat with Mbappe in the Brighton match that everything started to blow up. So yeah, I think he might have left him out of the matchday squad for disciplinary reasons, and there's a lot of talk going around that Arsenal are willing to sell him and that he wants to go. But I think the papers or reporters are just blowing it out of proportion. Um, but we'll obviously see going forward what is going to happen and what the ideas of the club are. But yeah,
Yes.
for now I think it's nothing much.
Yeah. So I think like I said before we started recording, we'll know a lot more after the game tomorrow, because I think if there's a problem, we won't see Guendouzi on the field. If there's not that big of a problem, he'd probably play to give rotation. Right, I think I'm going to finish that off on the Southampton game. The last thing I'm going to do there is, like we introduced last week, we're just going to do a quick run through of player ratings. Okay, Dean, Emi Martinez.
Martinez, Martinez, I would give a 7. Clean sheet. Yeah, he did the job.
Yeah,
Commanded the back line. I think he did well in the absence of Bernard Leno. Of course, he's not a Bernard Leno, but yeah, 7 out of 10.
one thing that really impressed me, well, even though it was only one or two passes in the game, was his distribution. That
Mm.
might be a bit better than Leno's, but overall, I still think Leno's first choice. Okay, Michael, I'm going to give you Tyranny.
Tierney.
Yeah.
I think I'll give Tierney a standard 6. He was solid. I don't think he did too much wrong in the game, but there was nothing too much that stood out for me as well. So yeah, I'll go with a 6.
Yeah. Rob Holding, I'll give him an 8, a 7. Right. Almost an 8. I just feel that there is one or two times where he might still. I don't know. I'm going to bump it back to an 8. Sorry, guys. Thinking back, looking at his stats, he had the highest pass completion, he had the most clearances, most tackles, most interventions. Probably the man
he
of the
was
match. So,
he was my man of the match.
so I'm going to keep it at the 8. Dean Mustafi.
Yeah, look, I agree with you about Rob Holding, but yeah, Mustafi. At the end of the day, these Oaks got a clean sheet for the first time in quite a while.
Hmm.
Of course, considering Corona, so I'll give Mustafi a 7. I think it was a solid game all around on the
Mike,
defense side.
you were a bit critical about Bellerin. What do you rate him?
I'll probably give Bellerin a 5. I think he was our worst player on the day, and he just didn't look too fit. I think it might have been beneficial to him for Nelson to start in this game actually, but yeah, I'll go with a 5.
All right, Granit Xhaka, I'm gonna give him. We haven't done a half yet, so I'm gonna do a 6.5. He didn't do anything special. He was a bit sloppy in possession every now and again, but you could see the stability and the change he brought into our midfield. Especially, he's one of the only midfielders that can, um, break that first line of defense with that key pass. He's got the he just links the attack with the midfield a bit more. Which we haven't seen a lot. Danny Ceballos. I personally feel that's high. Not because especially exactly like last time. Not because he did anything wrong. It's just because it feels like he holds back the team in a sense if he's on the field.
I
Um,
just feel like 5 is a bit harsh
Harsh. Yeah, no,
on a team that didn't concede a goal and won a game.
I can. That's why I say I understand why you're getting it. I'm probably just have a bit of a personal vendetta against him because he slows down the game so much. But in any case, Mike Nicholas Pepe.
Pepe I also give a standard 6. After a good performance, we were finally looking to have him have a run of games and actually be consistent and actually impose a threat during the match. And it was just one of those games he kind of disappeared. So 6.
Right. Saka, I'm going to give Saka a 7. I think he does extremely well, seeing that he's basically played in a different position every game. Yes, it's always on the left hand side, but it's always like some type of change to the formation. He wasn't as influential as always, but he did obviously was one of our key attacking threats throughout the game. Uh, Dean Ketia.
Yeah, he scored the goal, pretty much won us the game, except for Willock's goal. So yeah, Nketiah I would give 7.5 is, let's give another point 0.5 there. His work rate, in the front there was amazing. He ran all afternoon long, and it showed in the goal at the end of the day. He chased down the goalkeeper. It was an error from the goalkeeper, but his determination, and that's why he gets the 7.5.
Uh, I agree that he brings a lot in the sense of actually closing down the opposition. Mike Aubameyang.
Aubameyang, yes, I don't want to give a half, so I'll give him a 6 again. He didn't play too badly, but again, there were quite a few chances that he should have put away. So for that reason, he gets a 6.
I actually saw a funny meme like Aubameyang takes off his mask after lockdown, and it's Lacazette because he's so low in confidence. Where he usually
Yeah.
would take a shot, he's starting to try and find other players, which is quite strange. Right, and I'm just gonna do a quick rundown. No explanation needed. Just a quick fire and shoot for our substitutions. So the first one that came on was Joe Willock. Dean,
Scored the goal 7.
Mike Kolesniak,
6.
Dean Lacazette,
5.
Mike,
Uninfluential. He didn't change the game at all.
Mike Maitland Niles.
5. Didn't have too much time to do anything.
No, it's very difficult to give them proper ratings, especially Maitland Niles that, like you said, didn't really have much time to do anything on the field. Yeah, guys, I think that we summed up the Southampton game quite quickly and quite efficiently. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sheffield United preview. I'm going to jump straight into it. Dean, can you just give me a prediction of what you think Arteta might change team wise for the FA Cup run?
Yeah, look, David Luiz is coming back from suspension, Socrates from injury. Ozil, hopefully he's been picking his fitness up, everything like that. So, yeah, let's hope we see some sort of changes. I don't want to see a wholesale of changes, but yeah, let's see Rob Holding probably, I think as we discussed, he hasn't been playing many games. He needs a bit of a rest. Um, Mustafi's played every. I'm not sure exactly, but I'm pretty sure he's played every minute since we've been back. So I'm sure he could do with a bit of a rest after, being out so long all of these games. It would be nice to see Ozil, all that money, go to a bit of use. So yeah, those changes. I think Aubameyang will be rested. Yeah, that's about my changes that I can.
Mike, what would your team look like?
Well, Bren, I actually expect to see quite a few changes. Um, Obviously Martinez. I think Bellerin will start again. I think Louise will be back and Socrates probably as well. I think Kolasinac will be at left back. Um, I heard Lucas Torreira might be back fit, so he might feature. Um, Willock will probably start as well, and I think Dean's right. Ozil at CAM. Alba will probably get the rest, and Saka will start. Lacazette with Nelson on the right.
Well,
Yeah.
Saka's been playing quite a bit. Also, so I don't know what's
Yeah.
going to happen down the left because both players that technically play down the left have played almost every minute for us. Yeah, and now he's injured, so it's going to be interesting to see what he does on the left hand side. Dean, do you think Arteta should prioritize the FA Cup? You know, because of our league position, it's not too looking too great regarding the European qualifications. So how serious do you think Arteta is and should take up this FA Cup run?
Well, yeah, Brendan, I think, as you say, our league position, you know, as things stand, we're not even looking like we're going to make Europa. So the FA Cup might be our only route into European football. Because, of course, at the end of the day, the winner of the FA Cup, if they don't make it into the, depending on the winners of the Carabao and of the FA Cup, there are certain positions made available. But if if these teams fall out of the top eight, there's three positions given after that to Europa. If the teams fall out of that top eight and win the FA Cup or the Carabao has already been won. So it's just the FA Cup left. So now one position can still go away to a team for Europa League if they win the FA Cup. So yeah, Brendan, I it's a trophy at the end of the day. It's a bit of morale taking into the end of the season. We're going to start the Community Shield, the curtain raiser. So yeah, I think Arteta does need to prioritize the FA Cup at the end of the day. It's the last competition that we're actually in. We're out of Europa. Carabao Cup's finished. Premier League, we'll be lucky, like I say, to make Europa. So I think there needs to be a lot of priority actually put onto this weekend's game.
Um, I've seen a lot of people or a lot of arguments where people said it might be beneficial for us to miss a season of European football so that Arteta's got more time on the training field to actually spend, instilling his plans, his way of playing on those players.
Yeah, look, Brendan, in some way it can be beneficial and not. Teams that don't have a lot of depth don't generally do well in Europe, and it affects their Premier League position. But financially, even to miss out on Europa is a massive financial. You know, there's still a massive financial gain in Europa. Yeah, Champions League is the top. That's where you get the big money. But Europa, there's still a lot of money, and I do not think on the wage bill that we have that we can afford to fall out of Europa. We've got a deep squad, so at the end of the day, it shouldn't affect. Look at how we normally play the Europa in the group stages. We play our youngsters. This gives them a chance to bleed into the team, and that's what's given the likes of Saka, Martinelli. This is where Martinelli broke through in the beginning of the season was through the Europa League. Same with Saka, same with all of these oaks. Yeah, they got chances, but rare chances in the beginning. And these are competitions that give the youngsters a chance to come through, show them what we've got. And yeah, financially, we can't afford to miss on in European football. I think even, Josh Kroenke, Stan Kroenke's son said we cannot afford to miss out on European football.
That obviously makes a lot of sense, and just it would be such a good start for a young manager like Arteta, to get silverware under his belt.
Mm, yeah.
So that would be a nice bonus. Mike, I want to take a bit of a look at our opponent, Sheffield United, and it's going to be strange to say, but Arsenal aren't the only club in turmoil at the moment. They've also lost, I think, all of the games since the restart, and they were above it. Well, they still are above us, but I mean, the gap is definitely much smaller than it was before lockdown. What do you think we can expect from Sheffield United on, well, tomorrow?
Brain, well, they also have found it difficult since Project Restart. Yeah, you're right. They haven't won a game since we've come back. But even though they're also going through a bit of a problem, they're still a difficult team to beat. They still set up well. Their players work hard. The manager looks like he's been doing well with the team. So I think it's still going to be quite the contest. I think it's going to be quite physical. Um, but yeah, I just hope Arteta can keep the good form going, or hopefully build some good form. And I think we will get through the victory, but I don't see us keeping a clean sheet again.
On the game, Michael, what is the thing that you are most looking forward to seeing happening tomorrow? It can be a key duel. It could be, a specific player featuring that we haven't seen for a while. What is the one thing that stands out for you when you think about the FA Cup tie against Sheffield?
Well, just the fact that it's the FA Cup, we're the most successful team in the FA Cup. We take it seriously every year, so I'm sure Arteta will. And yeah, it's more silverware. It will give a boost to the team. It will build some confidence, and like Dean said, it will ensure us European football. And we're a big club, Arsenal still are a big club, and we expect to play in Europe. So yeah.
Dean, what's the key thing you are looking forward to tomorrow?
Yeah, I think as we spoke about a couple of players coming back, it'd be nice to see. Hopefully Terreira can be fit in time for this match. I don't know if there's been any news out on that. Be very nice to see Terreira play again. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see Ozil because this is a never-ending discussion. So let's hope we can see Ozil. And yeah, let's. Most interesting thing is going to be a couple of players coming back. But yeah, I agree with Michael. I don't see a clean sheet with the rotation. But yeah, it's exciting. It's a cup competition, knockout stages. That's what I'm looking most forward to.
Well, it is the final eight, so I mean, anything can happen from here. I think it's anyone's game to
Yeah.
win. There are a few big teams still left. Well, most of them are big teams, but knockout football, the unexpected always happens. I personally hope to see the team build on their victory against Southampton. Like we mentioned, they probably didn't play that well against Southampton because their confidence was low. So this is an opportunity for the players to build on their form, Arteta's structures. I think that's the most interesting thing that we need to look out for regarding the Sheffield United game. Mike, what are your score predictions for the match? Do you think you mentioned there's not going to be a clean sheet again, but do you think we'll be able to pull it through?
Yeah, I think we'll pull it through tomorrow. I want to say 2-1 again because we haven't looked too fluid attackingly. Or well, even though we create chances, we haven't been finishing them. But I hope we start to turn that right tomorrow and be a bit more clinical. So I'll go with a 3-1 to Arsenal.
2-1 or 3-1?
3-1.
3-1. Nice. Dean, do you agree with Mike? So I'm gonna throw in another curveball. I'm gonna say we're probably looking at another 2-0 to the Arsenal. It's optimistic. I think we the thing that we've done the most that was most impressive throughout the last few games is being the defense, other than lapses in concentration from players. I think if you take out even the City game, the Brighton game, if you take out individual lapses in concentration or individual mistakes, the team does look a bit more solid, a bit more difficult to break down. So if Arteta can iron out those individual errors, we might be starting a lot more clean sheets for Arsenal. And anything. I don't know. It's a bit difficult because it's such a short turnaround between the games. It's you can't really get insight into what team news there is, what's going to happen. So anything else that I might have missed that you guys want to point out regarding the Sheffield game?
No,
Not that I
Brendon.
can think of right now.
Yeah, Brendan, as you say, the turnaround between the games are pretty short. Team news is on a daily basis. Yeah, so it's pretty much just we're all excited. You know, it's cup competition. It's a different. It's something that we actually got a chance of winning. So yeah, you know, I don't think there's much to add, but I do feel we've got the momentum on our side now. Yeah, I do feel an Arsenal win is definitely on the cards. And, you know, Sheffield United just definitely don't look the same team after the break.
Yeah, well, the one nice thing that there's such a continuous run of fixtures, obviously for us, is we get a lot more airtime and we get a lot more experience with the software, with the recording, and I mean it's not always perfect. I think today we had a lot of technical difficulties. The internet didn't play along, but it's still something we all enjoy doing. So once again, thank you guys for joining me. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you in the next one.